because we have two very, very special guests. I would like to introduce myself quickly. I am Tekla, and I would like to welcome you to our team page. We have Carrie Pfeiffer, who is also with us virtually. She's actually doing some work for us at the back end to do questions. We couldn't quite get her on this, so thank you very much to Carrie. And we have Mindy, who most of us are familiar with already. Mindy Saunders is our upline from Utah, and I'm going to let her introduce our very, very special guest.
Very special guest. This is such a treat, you guys. Thank you, Laura, for being here. This is Laura Hunter. She is the inventor, the creator, our CEO. You guys, she has an incredible story. Every time I hear it, I'm like, Laura, you need to tell that story every time you go live. Let people hear your story. So I know how powerful it is and how much of a mentor she is to me. And I've been telling you guys stories about her. So now she's finally here. This is so exciting. So Laura, if you'll take a minute just to tell your story. And then you guys, if you have questions, just drop them in the comments. Like we said, we have Carrie here. She's going to be watching them. She's going to drop them into a group chat that we have. And we'll get to those if we have time. So be sure to drop those questions and we'll get them answered, whether it's here or later on. So take it, Laura.
Hi, everybody. So since we're on Be Live, I can't see you guys, and so I'm just gonna assume that you're out there. And I wish I could see your names and faces, but this is, it's the best way we can all meet up these days. So I'm so glad to be able to talk to you guys today. So like Mindy was saying, everybody has their own story for sure, of course, and the things that drive them. And I think, like everybody else's, mine is unique to me. And I think what makes my background a little bit different than what people expect is that a few things. One, I didn't come from a bunch of money, and I didn't come from direct sales. And I came about this in a really unusual way, I think. So growing up, I had kind of a normal upbringing, and my parents got divorced. And after my parents got divorced, things sometimes get very rough, and families that were just perfectly normal become very dysfunctional and things like that. And so I ended up moving out when I was 14 years old, and I cleaned houses, I cleaned hotel rooms, and I rented a room from friends. And I went, and I couch surfed. I did all of that, went back home once or twice. And by the time I was 16, I was entirely out on my own in my own apartment and emancipated, and still going to high school and starting the process to go to college. And that was really hard, being, alone and a young teenager. I have Isabel, so the Belle of Tori. Belle is 17, and I look at her and I think of her when she was 14, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like, so ridiculous. Like, it's just not okay, And so I worked my way up. So as an older, not an older teenager, but when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I was taking photography classes, and I worked at the mall, and I did a pageant, and I liked doing that, and sort of started connecting those things. And over the course of time, I wanted to own a house of my own, and spent a couple of years trying to study to figure out how to do that. And over the course of time, I bought some real estate and was able to flip some real estate, and I started a photography business. And it took me a very, very long time to be successful in my photography business. And I started doing more pageants, and I lost a lot, like a lot. I was just a hot mess because I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any money. Everything I did was like beg, borrow, and steal. Well, not really steal, but you know what I mean? It was like, if I wanted to have a pageant dress, I would buy twice as much fabric and make the dress, and then use the other fabric to sell something similar, like a jumpsuit, to somebody else so that I could afford to have bought the dress. If I wanted to put rhinestones on it, I bought 10 times as many rhinestones, and then I sold rhinestones. If I wanted to be in a pageant, I would advertise for the director and get other contestants in the pageant so that I could be in for free. I didn't have any money. And so everything I did, I had to really figure out how to do it without, in a different way. In order to be able to do things. When I bought my first house, I literally begged the person I bought it from to sell it to me and to trust me. And I had saved up just a little money down. It was a tiny 1-bedroom house, 462 square feet. And so that was my first house. And his name was Mr. Walton, and he owned a Walton Beverage Company. And he made me come to his office every month and personally pay him my $260 mortgage payment because one, he wanted to make sure because I was a teenager and he sold me a house. And two, I think that he wanted to give me a little bit of mentorship he was very gruff in his very gruff way. You know, I'd sit there and he'd say, "You see that map? Don't be afraid of the map. Just get everything. Okay, bye." You know, and he'd just throw these little pearls of wisdom at me once a month, which I was very appreciative of, really, in his own way. And apart from him, I really didn't have anybody at the time to help me along. And I thought, every single holiday, every birthday, every Christmas, people would say, "What do you want?" I'd say, "I just want help. Please, I just want help. Come help me work on my house just for an hour. That's what I want, you know, or help me, you know, study for this, or help me make a dress, or, you know," and there were so many things I needed help with. And I didn't have help. And it was really difficult, but I got an education and I kept moving forward, and I failed a whole lot of times until I learned what I needed to learn to succeed. And that's how you learn, you know, you just keep at it, keep getting back up. And so as I got older, I had some more successes and was doing well for myself. And then, you know, I definitely hadn't ever been wealthy, though, by any means. But I had a nice house because I'd bought a couple houses and worked my way up, and that kind of thing. Well, I'd say, gosh, about 6-7 years ago now, I really thought I was doing better, but then I got divorced, and that's really hard. I actually got divorced twice. I'm far from perfect. So after my first divorce, I rebuilt. Second divorce, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and so I moved from my nice house into a 1,000 square foot apartment with my 2 daughters, and we just started over, and that was fine. So I lived there for a while, and so during the time I was there, I was trying to rebuild, and my photography business started to fail, and I didn't know why, and it was because I found out that my identity, and it's not like a normal identity theft, my identity had been stolen, but it's what they call a theft of personality, or a personage, and it's because they don't just take your identity, like steal your credit card. They actually take who you are and portray you as someone else. And so it was during the election, about 4 years ago. It was a year before the election that happened 4 years ago, and all of a sudden, my business was failing, and I didn't know why. And I found out that somebody had made me the poster child, the editor-in-chief, and creator of a far right-wing fake news website. And so this isn't Republican or Democrat. This is like, you know, all people of Indian descent should die. Like, this is really horrible, horrible things that were very far right-wing, fake, mean, you know, very damaging things. And they were posting an average, actually, of 80 per day of these articles, and they were all attributed to me. And they went viral, and millions and millions and millions of people believed that both my photo and my name, was this woman who was a horrible, horrible hate monger. And no one said anything to me at first because they just assumed it was me, and they just wanted nothing to do with me. And so I failed. My business failed. But at the time, I had bought a building, and I had actually leased a building leased to own. And I was going to fix it up. It was in very bad shape. It was actually hoarded. It was disgusting. There's so many stories about this. And I fixed the whole building up, and I was like, well, it's okay. It's going to be okay. I can live without this business. I went to court. It took over a year to clear my name. It cost over $100,000. Thank God I won my legal fees back, because I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't. I didn't have $100, didn't have anything except for a lease on a building. A lease I didn't own anything. You know, I had nothing of my own. And so, I got the building fixed up. I won the court case, and literally about 20 days after I won that court case, and I got the building fully functional and all entirely 100% full of tenants, and I was going to be okay, and I had an income coming in, it was condemned. And I lost it. And it was condemned because the person who owned it before me had defrauded me and the government, and had done tons and tons of work on it that was illegal. And when they came in to do inspections that we thought were perfectly fine, of course, because I didn't know I had been defrauded, they said none of this should be here. I didn't do it. It was from before me. And they condemned the building. And I fought for like a year and a half to try to keep the businesses that I'd put in the building going, and I couldn't win. And so just before I invented magnetic eyeliner, I had spent, and that fight for a year and a half cost me everything I had. I already had no savings after the divorce and after my identity theft, but I won what I had lost in that. I won back in the court case, but then I spent that trying to save the building and make all the repairs that were needed to save all the businesses in the building. So I had literally nothing. I had no real estate. I had no job. I had no career. I had no savings. I had no retirement. I literally had absolutely nothing. And then Bob lost his job. And we were really worried. Luckily, Bob did, and he's my boyfriend and business partner, life and business partner. But he was, and he had some reserves, but not like this. We were really, really worried. And I was honestly very depressed, to be perfectly honest. And I just kept thinking, just keep moving forward. And it was really hard because I kept trying to convince myself I would somehow come out of this, but I couldn't figure out how. But I kept moving forward like it was going to happen anyway. But I still couldn't figure out how. But I just kept, every day I'd be like, I am a failure. I can't figure out how this is ever going to be okay. But then I would still just keep trying, I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. And so one day I saw an ad for these, the Snap-on magnetic eyelashes. And I thought to myself, it was funny because I felt bad wanting to buy them. And I thought, God, they were like $15 at the time. And I was like, I'd be able to spend $15 on myself. 15. I mean, it's so little, right? Like, it's okay to splurge a little bit. And so I went to Sally's and I bought the $15 things, and I was actually really excited, like weirdly overexcited, to be perfectly honest, because I was so depressed. It was like kind of the first thing had a little excitement about in a while. And so I was like, oh, eyelashes. And I couldn't get them. I couldn't put them on. And I was like so mad. I was so mad. And because it was like such an intense letdown, which is ridiculous because it was eyelashes. But to me, it was like, it just kind of, I guess it represented a lot to me at that point. It was like, if I was like, really, I can't take any more disappointment. Like, not even this. And so that was what I just thought, God, if I could just have magnetic mesh eyeliner, that this top lash would stick to it. Just out of desperation and sadness and frustration that just popped into my head. And I stopped and I thought, that might be possible. And so in my car still, I'm sitting there like Googling and trying to figure out, and I'm like running to the GNC and I ran to the craft store, and I'm like the kind of craft store where they make like not airplane parts, but like model airplanes, that kind of craft store, hobby store, and got some stuff I should not have been putting on my face, but I did anyway. And I thought, well, I'll try it. I'm going to try it. So over the course of a couple of days, I learned how to make eyeliner, and then I figured out how to make it a little bit magnetic. I thought if I could just get that top lash to stick for a second, then I knew, using the god-awful stuff I was actually using, that there's like way better stuff, out there in the cosmetic world. Like, if I can just make it stick a little, it's going to work. And so it did. It stuck. And so that's when I started the process of really trying to then make it right, which took about 6 more months. And I formulated it myself, literally in my kitchen. And I had just about an impossible time getting anyone to help me, getting a lab to work with me. I was told I was just a soccer mom who made things in my kitchen and I don't know what I'm talking about, and ended up having to fly to China without a visa in the middle of the night to get a lab that would work with me. It was just one thing after the other. But once we had it working and we knew it was going to work, and I knew I could make it, that's just, everything just took off from there. And honestly, the second it stuck to my hand the first time, I knew we'd be here, like literally here right now, like, and I know where we'll be later too. Like, I knew it immediately. It's been just an incredible 2 years, that I would never, and part of it's been, trudging my way through like so much hard stuff, but it was worth it because I was moving towards something. I wasn't going the other direction anymore. And it's been really hard, and it's the best job in the whole wide world. And I just really wanted to share that with everybody. And initially we thought, well, we didn't want to do like brick and mortar stores because they weren't doing well. And when we looked into how it worked, it was kind of a racket. Like, you don't make any money, and they just take everything, and it's not good for anybody. And you don't get to know who your customers are, except for like Walmart. And then I just thought, you know, I felt like, this is going to sound weird, and I keep telling people this and they probably think I'm crazy, but I remember I was standing at my back door one day and I was looking out. It was like kind of stormy. And for some unknown reason, I was thinking about like, how do I figure out, how do I share this with people? And I remember a lot of my friends had been saying, oh, well, I want to work for you. I want to come work for you. And I was like, I can't hire all my friends. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't, but I want to, but I know I can't, but I don't know how to handle this. And I just felt like, it felt like there was this like funnel cloud of like money basically that was just going to like fall hard on me. And I wasn't it wasn't a pleasant thought, weirdly. It was an uncomfortable thought, and kind of off in the distance there's like, oh, there's a funnel cloud out there too. Oh, that's Walmart. Oh, there's one out there, that's Ulta. And I was like, I also am not comfortable with that. And it just seemed like everything else was just black skies. And then I kind of like metaphorically, I thought, well, if I just take it off, I can make it rain. And so that's why I thought the way to do it is to share the opportunity with everybody. And the only way I knew how was direct sales. But I'm not in direct sales. And well, I'm now, but I wasn't then. And I knew very little about it. And I'd had one really good experience with the Longaberger Basket Company, not as an affiliate, but just visiting there once. And then Tori's like staring at me. She's looking for something. Yeah, there she, oh, it was her phone, sorry. So, you know, and otherwise, oh, and I sold Rainbow vacuums, door-to-door salesperson for vacuums when I was 16 years old. I did well, by the way, but also that's not really direct sales. Door-to-door isn't really the same. But that's really all I knew. But I understood conceptually the culture of it and how it worked. And I knew there was so many good things. And I also knew why I hadn't done it. There was a lot of things I didn't like. And that's what kept me from ever doing it, because Lord knows, a bunch of people asked me. And so I thought, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to connect like a normal affiliate relationship that people are comfortable with and all the good parts about direct sales, and stick them together and, you know, put in there all the things that are valuable to me. And so that's what we decided to do. So it took like a year, and we launched Lash Liner, which is our first brand. But the whole time Lash Liner was going, we were using that money to fund the beginnings of Tori Belle, to pay the lawyers, to you know, pay for the business, to pay for all of the products before we launched. And so every dime that came out of Lash Liner just went straight into Tori Belle, and nobody even knew Tori Belle was a thing. And then we got close to launch day, and Mindy and Johnette were the first two people that came to visit us, and we launched a couple days later. And then the rest is definitely history. It's been super crazy. I hope it didn't go on too long, but that is kind of in a nutshell how we got here.
Well, we're so glad that you did it too. Just to hear her story and everything she overcame. And I'm sure at some point in her life, she thought she wanted to maybe give up or whatever it was. But that resilience that she has, I see over and over and over again. It's almost like, here's a problem. How are we going to get it? It's like, we just wait for the captain to come and tell us how we're going to take this and run with it. And she's always right. And I just admire that about her. So something that I loved right from the beginning, and you guys, real quick, my experience was I'd heard about this. Friend pulls her lash off her eye, and I'm like, what is this magnetic eyeliner? Who invented this? Like, this is genius. Do you want to go meet her? Of course I do, right? Totally sold. And just before I even got to meet her, and then of course I met her. And one of the main things that I asked her was, you know, at what point, because I was in direct sales and I understood direct sales. And I sat in front of Laura face to face, and we were just chatting. And I said, and I had a few questions on my list when I was headed to Seattle to go meet with her. And one of those big questions was, deciding what I was going to do and how I was going to kind of do my little jump that I was ready to do, was I wanted to know at what point in her comp plan was she going to require us to sign that contract, because most every direct sell company does. And when I asked her that question, she looked at me all confused. She's like, what contract? And I was like, oh, well, I'll take this opportunity to kind of educate her on direct sales, because I knew that she didn't really probably know too much about it yet. And so I was like, oh, well, actually, like in direct sell companies, like there's a certain rank where you, when to hit that rank, like to get paid at that rank, you have to like sign this contract that says basically you're married to them. And she's like, I'll never make people do that. And I was like, really? Seriously? Like, she's like, no, I want you guys to be what's called a true influencer. And I like get up out of my seat and I'm like, can I just hug you right now? Like, you get it. You get it. Like, I was sold going to Seattle. But when she said that, I was like, yes, you are going to attract all the right people. You are going, it's just, I just knew, it was like that feeling in my bones. I was like, just putting in that hard work, knowing something good was coming. And then here it was right in front of me. And I was just so happy. So, and I'm telling these ladies too, as we're, you know, meeting weekly and all these Zooms that we're doing, I'm like, you guys, I had 6 weeks before it launched into direct sales. These ladies are in the exact same situation. They have that exact same amount of time, and it's what they do with that time that's going to propel them into this business. So will you just kind of talk about a little bit more of like, one thing that you always refer to, and I've learned this from you, is the ick factor of direct sales, and what you decided that you were going to kind of, because she didn't know that she loved direct sales. She didn't know that she wanted to do that. And from my understanding, she was presented that opportunity and she was like, well, wait a minute. And then was somewhat told like, well, what if we told you that you could basically write your own comp plan? And that was where Laura kind of like, okay, yep, we could probably do something like that. So if you'd kind of just go into that a little bit, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Perfect. So I did know I wanted to be in direct sales, but I had this kind of weird version of it that I thought would work, and which was not actually direct sales. It was really more like a 3-level affiliate relationship. And I was like, no, because then all these bad things won't happen. And so then I met with a company that does comp plans. And luckily they also took the opportunity to educate me on how these things actually work. And they explained to me right off the bat that what a comp plan effectively does is it rewards you want to see repeated. That's all. You know, it's not a pyramid scheme. It's nothing. It isn't anything like that. It's just math, and it just rewards people for their work and the behavior you want them to do again. And so I was like, oh, okay, we can have more levels then. Good, because that seems like a better idea. And so over the course of many months, actually, I learned all about how comp plans work and created the comp plan myself with Bob and this company that consulted with us. And we actually hired a number of consultants that work in direct sales to make sure we were real well covered legally. But there's so many things that are just amazing, amazing, amazing about direct sales. And I think the biggest one to me is the culture and the fellowship of it. But also I love the fact that people who may have some barrier to entry into a real career can do this. And if they're like us and they may not have had the exact same opportunity as everybody else, but they know they have it in them, they can prove it and they can do it, you know, and I love that so much. There was no way in the whole wide world I was going to be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company traditionally. That was never going to happen. Like, I had to make it myself, and I had to make it in a way that other people don't normally do it, you know? And it's just kind of a miracle. And it can, you know, that's the kind of miracle I hope everybody can make for themselves too, of course. And so one of the things I felt like really drew people away from direct sales, from all that possible, you know, the great things, is one, having to carry stock. That was like my number one thing that like really, because people always hear about that. So as somebody coming from the outside, it was oh, you're going to have a garage full or a closet full or a bathroom full of blank cosmetics, you know? And I was like, we can't do that for a number of reasons. One, because I feel like it's a lie to say you have to buy all this stuff and then you make this commission, but if you don't sell all that stuff or you end up discounting it because you can't sell it, you didn't make anything. If you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you lost, you know. And I think it's disingenuous to tell people that they're making money they're not making, and also to make them own a store effectively in their house when they weren't planning on owning a store. You know, I don't like that. And I think it puts people in financial risk. And the last thing in the world I want to do is put anybody at risk in order for them to succeed. That doesn't even make sense. So that was one of the really big things. So we drop ship. We drop ship everything. We go crazy not making sure people don't bonus buy or inventory load, we really do everything we can to get people doing this the right way. Another thing is the whole warm market deal, because the whole, like, everybody who's not in direct sales knows that they don't want their friend that's in direct sales bugging them all the time. You know, like, we all know that. And ignore it all you want, it's there. And so I was like, we're not doing that either. We're going to give people legitimate training on how to create a fan base that is not their friends and family, so that they don't have to make a choice, you know, and they don't have to go through the same group of people over and over again until they don't like them anymore. And so we made a really, really big conscious effort that we do not teach people to sell to their warm market, which was a term I actually didn't know before, but now, you know, now I'm in the group, I know. But so yeah, we don't teach people to sell to their warm market. We teach them scalable ways to create a fan base so they can truly be influencers. And oh, sorry, I hear somebody chatting in there, and I
think there's feedback going on now.
Oh, okay, all right,
like,
gotcha. So yeah, so not selling to the warm market, really learning how to do a scalable influencer-based model. A commission plan that's understandable is a really big deal. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't like you get 80% of the 60% of the 20% off the clearance price in 10 points. You know, like we wanted to make sure people could figure it out as best as possible. They are by nature complicated. They are, but we wanted it to be clear and concise and not something that seemed to be tricking people. We never, ever, ever discount what the retail value is versus the commissionable value. They're always the same. You get paid on whatever it is, dollar amount that you sell, and that's it. It's very simple, easy to understand. Gosh, what other things? Oh, education. I mean, that kind of goes with the other thing, but education is a really, really big thing. We just feel like, I felt like people that I did know that went direct sales and would fall off or keep joining new ones, you'd say, hey, what happened with that thing that you were doing? And they'd say, oh, I just didn't know what to do. I did the first couple months and I just didn't know what to do. And so we're really committed to making sure people feel like they have mentors. And as you can imagine from my background, trying to do everything by myself for so long, that mentorship is really important to me. And I brought that with me here to, I want to be that person I knew I needed because I know other people need it too. And I want to make sure that we create an army of people like Mindy who are that person that other people need, like really like servant heart people and really to help everybody else come up because a rising tide most certainly does raise all ships. And so we really work together. And also to create a culture that is not gossipy or negative. There's a lot of in a lot of companies I've seen that there's definitely like one group of directors hates the other group and they're, cat fights and arguing, and we don't do that. We don't allow it. And we're very, we really do protect each other as much as humanly possible. So I think those are probably like the big key things, the most important ones that those are the things that I call the ick factor, and we try to get rid of them.
Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. We've got a few questions here. I know we're kind of short on time, but some questions that we kind of came with asked, but so I explained to them how our experience was. We had the opportunity to sign up June 11th and then until October 19th. Everybody that signed up between that was known as a founding affiliate. Is there going to be another period of time that Canadians will be known as founding affiliates?
Yes. Yeah, they'll be founding Canadian affiliates. And I don't know what the time break is. It's probably going to be 3 months because I think, it's a normal kind of a quarterly time, but we haven't actually set the time for sure, but there definitely will be. Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like we've already got everything else except are the products safe, which I know that question.
Yes, the products are safe. There's nothing. So we have a no-no list, we call it, which is things that we just won't use because we don't feel good about them. And then we also use EU standards. So there's nothing in our products that aren't totally safe. We also are the only company that actually does test our magnetic mascara and eyeliner with independent US labs. None of the others do. So we can guarantee they are safe. No one else actually can.
And with that, will you just kind of go with kind of your future dreams for this company where just use the word global?
One, we're going to be global. No, we are. Yeah, that's a big goal. We are definitely, expanding into Canada. We'll expand to Latin markets. We'll expand into English speaking markets, Philippines. We have every intention of being everywhere in the world, and we're excited about that. But also one of the biggest things about this company that I think sometimes people don't remember is that we're not really a lash company. We're an invention company. And so we're really, really dedicated to constant innovation. We actually have 2 innovations coming out this next month, assuming we can get them here with the darn COVID shipping restrictions. We hope it won't be June, but they are definitely coming very, very soon. So one is an invention and one is an innovation. So that those 2 things will separate. Even with the copycats, we still constantly separate ourselves from them because, of course, we're always a step ahead because we're the people who make this. We are the inventors. I am the inventor. And so, in addition to that, we have, more products coming out, more innovations coming out. We're just really excited. We have new, I can't tell you all the things because I'm like, how do I say it without saying it? We have new packaging innovations coming out, 3 or 4 of them coming out over the course of the next 6 to 8 months. We have just so many things. So it's like, you know, what you see right now as our product line, and like we have this 1 or 2 great inventions, that's not forever. We'll always have them, but there's going to be so many more things. And I'm so excited about the future. We just have so much more to offer and so much more to come. So it's always funny to me when people are like, oh, I don't know what separates you. And I'm like, you have no idea what's coming. You know, like, it's huge. Yeah. I wish I could tell you.
Team Laura. Just stick with Team Laura. You'll be fine. It goes good. Okay. So I think that's all of the questions from like the pre that you've pretty much touched all of that. But we can see the chat here real quick. Do you know the exact launch date for Canada yet?
We don't, because just like us, the Canadian government doesn't have people in their offices. And so everything's submitted and we're waiting for each province to sign off on our comp plan, which is how the process goes in Canada. It's different than the US, to get our business licenses in Canada, but there's no one there. So we are just hoping they get back to work soon and that they get through our paperwork soon. We were really hoping for late spring, and we're like, okay, June 20th, it's the very last day of spring. So that's still a goal, fingers crossed, but unfortunately we have no way of controlling when they get back to work.
Right, cool. Well, we're excited, but we're taking this time to just maximize and get ready. Okay, cool. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Tekla, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just thank you so much for jumping on. Your story is amazing, and it's just so inspiring to see somebody who just went down 7 times and got back up 8. So you're a real inspiration. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you. I'm always telling Mindy, it's like, it just kills me when people thank me, because I'm like, I had this dream and you guys stood up behind me. It is not me that needs to be thanked. I'm incredibly humbled by all of you and all of your support. I really am. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.